As somebody who literally does drop shipping for a living, makes multiple six figures profit every single year from drop shipping, specifically organic drop shipping, the main thing I have been getting absolutely hammered with the last like month, maybe even 2 months, is tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. How are we going to deal with tariffs? How are these going to affect things? Is this going to kill drop shipping? And my answer to that is pretty simple and no. In my personal opinion, I'm not even slightly scared. I'm not even I genuinely have no care in the world for it. And here's why. I have a few reasons. First one is a lot of people don't understand this, but the US has been getting tariffed by, a plethora of other countries for years. This is a known thing. Other countries have tariffs as well. A lot of people are treating this like this huge thing, like, oh, Mr. Big Bad Trump came in and now he's doing this crazy thing that nobody does because it's so unfair. But that's kind of the point is we get tariffed by all these countries we've decided to tariff, we tariff certain things, they tariff certain things, et cetera, et cetera. And on Trump's end, this is a lot more of kind of a psychological play, what I like to call like a game of, big dick, for lack of better words. Basically Trump trying to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. You guys don't want to play fair. This is what we're going to do. You guys are going to stop taking advantage of us. And we'll implement these tariffs until you meet our demands, what we want from you. And so that's why you've seen over these last few months, ever since Trump's been in office and he started actually implementing these tariffs, all of these other countries starting to say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And you see it all over the news or social media, whatever. Blah, 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 agrees to deal with U.S. over blah, 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 deal. They agree, they agree, they agree. These are all people that got cooked by tariffs that are now saying, okay, we're not going to win this game, especially up against the U.S., so we'll stop being unfair and we'll give you what you want, right? And so that's on one side of it. So with that being said, that's not like Trump is sitting here with like this serious economic plan, like, oh my gosh, giving China a 248% or whatever percentage, crazy number tariff is going to boost our economy or, make all these great things happen. That's not what this is at all. It's like I said, this is more of like I don't like to say psychological warfare because it's a bit deeper than that, but this isn't him saying, I'm going to implement these tariffs and that's going to make all these things better or boost our economy, et cetera, et cetera. It's him playing this game of, who wants to go further? Are you going to meet our demands? So that's my first reason why. And with that being said, if you knew that, then you would know, okay, no matter what, if that's the case, then this isn't going to be a long-term thing because this is, nobody wins in this battle. Literally no one. Second thing is, you have to think about it. I don't give a damn. I support Trump. I am a Trumper. I just have fucking common sense. But I'd be, retarded. You'd be retarded to think that there isn't some sort of market manipulation going on as well. Or at least the opportunity for market manipulation. Maybe that's not why it started. Maybe that's, wasn't in mind. But at this point, knowing what we know and kind of how these affected everything, there could definitely be some market manipulation going into play. So that's the second thing. And once again, all of my points, as you can tell, these are all leading back to basically explaining and showing how this is not going to be a long-term thing. And if it's not going to be a long-term thing, why worry about it? Thirdly, what the hell was I going to say? I'm not editing this video. I'm not going to go back through and cut. I completely just lost my train of thought. But, oh yeah, as the third thing, you have to understand, China abuses, and like in the world of economics or these big boy companies and manufacturing and factories and all that, they abuse the power they have. And it's just known in that world that they fuck everybody over. Like that's, it's China. China are, the villains. And they don't give a fuck because they hold so much power they're the global superpower for manufacturing and factories and all this stuff. And just your basic common goods, especially in e-commerce, all these different, industries, they are the superpower because of X, Y, and Z reason. But everybody knows that, right? That's where 90% of shit is made in China. You hear all this bullshit. Oh, nothing's made in the U.S. anymore. So they've kind of gotten this role of being this sort of global superpower in that aspect. And so another thing he's doing with these tariffs is also kind of calling out China and showing like, hey guys, look at all of these other people that I tariffed, and I said, hey, if you don't want to play nice, we won't play nice. And these people that actually met my demands and said, okay, let's come to an agreement so both sides can win. And, because everybody knows this is, once again, not a winning battle. And this is also kind of like a big call out for him to finally kind of expose and show that, China is that country that is trying to fuck everybody over, that is kind of, misusing the sort of power they have. And that's what he's shown really well is, after almost every single other country that he's tariffed or, tried to make an agreement with and done something like this with since he's been in office, every single one of them, they have made a deal. There has been an agreement, X, Y, and Z. They've succumbed to, Trump, being that way. But China hasn't, right? And this is kind of, once again, one of those aha moments that he's getting on China, like, yeah, now you've exposed yourself, right? But with all that being said, without continuing to yap, my personal opinion on it is that this is genuinely what I think will happen. Once again, and this goes back into the market manipulation, the whole 9 yards, right? And he can just keep leading this on. And I also want you to think about this. Notice how every single time he's announced a tariff, it's 2 weeks in the future, a month in the future, 2 months into the future. And every single time that a tariff has happened, it basically hasn't. It doesn't last. And it basically, oh, I changed my mind, right? We've decided to do this. With every other tariff, with every other country, with every other thing he's been doing since he's been in office. At the time of recording this, it's like April 21st, I think. Yeah, it's April. I keep losing my train of thought. I'm not re-recording this motherfucking video. I can do this. What the fuck was I about to say? Oh, yeah. So that means May 2nd. So that's what, like a week, almost 2 weeks away. Here's what I think will happen. Leading up to May 2nd or on the day of, Trump will announce he will no longer be doing X, Y, and Z tariff on China, or they've came to an agreement and now there's not going to be any tariffs, or at the very worst, at least for me, at the very worst, he's going to dramatically lower the tariffs. But very, very high chance, at least in my own personal opinion, the tariffs will just cease to exist. Because once again, this is not a winning battle. Nobody wins in a tariff war. And this is not a play on his end. Oh, 248% tariffs. This is going to win us big. This is going to make our economy boom. It's not sustainable at all. And that's not realistic at all. To be tariff at this stage of where it's 2025, bro. Nobody can get tariffed to almost 300%, especially, a country that produces like 90% of the shit that's in our country. Impossible. So basically, to finish this off, I think when the actual day comes, the tariffs will cease to exist. They've came up with some sort of deal. It might be a few days in the future, no matter what, by the time that day happens. So then basically it's like it never even happened. And all this worrying that everybody's doing this whole time would be for nothing. And as a little bit more clarity for you guys, as somebody who, this is what I do for a living. This is my main source of income is organic drop shipping. It's multiple 6 figures a year profit from it. This is how I afford the nice car, this amazing warehouse. I take care of my family, my 2-year-old son. This is, how I sustain a living. So if I'm not worried, you shouldn't be worried either.